Hello people, in this video I want to show you 3 tiny little examples of why Faker is still the GOAT in this game 1 between LNG and T1 that you probably missed. And the first one is actually right at the very start of the game, where you're gonna see Faker in a second walk up here, and he's gonna throw a Q at Scout. And, well, what is special about this? You might say, oh, he just saw him and threw a Q. Well, the thing is, Faker didn't actually have vision. And this leads to 2 possible conclusions, one of which is way cooler than the other, so I choose to believe that one, but you do you. The one that I find way cooler is that Faker anticipated Scout being there because he had a gut feeling, because he feels like that's something Scout would do. So I find that more unlikely, I have to admit, and the more likely explanation I think is they just scouted LNG and figured out that Scout does this opening, therefore giving Faker a free Q. And now you might say, what's the big deal, he got a free Q, cool. Well, this Q actually does a few things for Faker, besides the obvious, doing like a bit of damage and getting him mana flow, which is Scout is now denied from entering this way, which means at 114 he has to go back around this way, and it's going to be late for lane. And what that lets Faker do is Faker gets to hit the wave first, which is a really big deal in this matchup, because getting the push is very, very nice to have, and he's going to be able to leverage that later in this lane. And for the second thing, we already need to talk about this lane a bit more. And the main factor of this lane is that both sides play with their zone control. So the Azir has the soldiers, the Ori has the ball. They can both use these tools as well as their own like attack ranges to zone the other player off, right? And in a second, you're gonna see a really beautiful Q from Faker after both of these people hit level 2. And it's actually this one. And again, what is so special or beautiful about this Q? Well, as we just elaborated, this Q is denying Scout space to move. And Scout just took this last hit, and now has to take this last hit, and this leaves him in a pretty awkward spot. Why? Well, he would love to take this last hit from here, because then he has space to maneuver, he can go left, go right, but then he would have to walk all the way around the ball, or take damage from the ball, which he doesn't want to do. So what does he do? Well, he walks this way, but this is coming with its own set of problems because, well, he's hugging a wall, and so he has no real space to maneuver. And Faker is in a prime position to just corner him here, which is exactly what's about to happen. You can see Scout walking up here, and Faker is not letting him walk back. And now Scout is in a really awkward spot because, well, he can't walk all the way here, right? To get back to lane, because then he will miss this minion, this minion, this minion probably. So he has to kind of get back like this, but he doesn't have E yet, so he has to try to walk. But the problem is, Faker just fists him in the extended trade. And look what Faker does. He steps out of the range of his ball so that the ball appears back on his head in a second. And then the ball doesn't travel all this distance, but is rather quick. And he gets a completely disgusting trade onto Scout. Just based off of this one freaking ball placement that forced Scout to walk in a slightly unfortunate manner. He just completely runs him down and forces flash. And now, why is flash such a big deal? Well, if you look at the jungle matchup, then you're going to see that Ori would actually have to usually be really scared of the jungle, because it's a Jarvan, and Jarvan holds the Ori, Ori hard time because immobile. But now that Azir has no flash, he actually also needs to be very careful because, well, not only does he have no flash, he's also low. And so he's also going to be very vulnerable to ganks, which gives Faker a lot more leeway to play the lane the way he wants to. Now we're going to fast forward a bit as not that much happens. Scout is going to be forced to base here in a second. Faker is going to match his base. They're both going to buy relatively even items. And then after all the waves have been killed, you can see that Faker actually got as well an 8 CS lead out of this whole sequence. Which, if you calculate it, is about like 100 gold, which is not a ton, but it's something, so especially after 4 minutes of laning. And for the third thing, which probably most of you remember if you watched this game, we're going to go forward to the Herald fight, which is here, and you probably already know what I'm going to say, which is Faker did an absolutely insane sidestep onto the Azir ult. But that's, again, not the whole story. And what I want you to notice here is, again, Faker has flash up still, and Tarzan does not, which T1 presumably know, because if they don't know that, then the thing Faker is about to do doesn't make a lot of sense. So look what he does. He walks up to the Jarvan, who he knows has ult up, and has a Gwen back up. Like, look at this. Like, look at this freeze frame here. This is so mentally insane to me. Like, how is he allowed to stand this close to a Jarvan? Doesn't he just get EQ'd? Well, no, he doesn't, and here's why. Because Faker knows he has flash. And in this situation, Faker has to be perfectly willing to invest his flash in case Jarvan goes. Because he knows, okay, I'm just gonna flash out, and I'm gonna be fine, and then we turn on the Jarvan and kill him and win the Herald fight. So here in this moment, Faker has to be ready to flash. Otherwise, his movement does not make sense. And now watch what happens. Now the Azir comes in, Faker is still in the mindset, okay, I maybe have to flash the Jarvan and engage. And even though he is definitely ready to flash, he just doesn't. That is the insane part to me. If I was in the spot and I was like, okay, I have to flash, I have to flash, I have to flash, there's no shot, I'm not flashing this. But Faker just sits there with freaking cold blood and doesn't. And it works out great for him. So yeah, that is why Faker is the GOAT. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.